Hello everybody, it is Sam, the Reclaimer developer, and I just wanted to make a quick video just going over some updates regarding the state of the game and some updates to the schedule. It has been quite a busy month. In Probably the biggest thing that's going on is my family is packing up and moving to a city about 2 hours away from where I currently live now, which isn't going to affect things too much, but it's just life happens, and we're going to be quite busy over the next month or two as we just sort of get settled into a new routine. So that is definitely going to postpone some things. We had a vacation this month where we were out of the country for a little bit, and we're just going to be playing a lot of catch up for the foreseeable future. So let me go ahead and sort of show what the state of the game is. And unfortunately, well, let me back up a little bit. I mentioned that there was going to be some refactoring to the player rig and specifically the camera. Because the camera was a collection of components that was originally in the rendering system. And what I wanted to do was essentially just reduce a camera to basically a view matrix and a bunch of physics components that are updating that view matrix. And unfortunately, decoupling those things has been absolutely fraught with peril. You can probably see right away, the moment I start moving things around, things are a little bit wonky. So the debug camera is using this new way of doing things, and as you can see, it's like as I translate things left and right, the camera's a little bit shaky, and it's like doing this weird oscillation. And we've also got the player camera here, and I can represent it using, or at least the camera's direction vectors. It's a little bit easier to tell where the camera's rotating by looking at it now, but you can see it's like tilted slightly. It's like rolled a little bit, and I try like scaling and rotating the debug camera, and this has just been absolutely fraught with peril. I'm not really sure what's going on, but it's just been a side effect of decoupling some things and trying to get things working in a more, I guess, scalable way. It's like everything is about like what can you do at scale, right? So you have we had this camera component that was originally defined in the rendering library that was a bit stiff and not very flexible. And so in attempting to migrate this over, it's just introduced a lot of things that we're just unfortunately going to have to deal with. And that's the nature of development sometimes. It doesn't always go in a linear path, you know. Some people think it's like, I'm here at point A and I need to get to point B and it's a straight line. Well, that's not always the case. Sometimes you're going to try something and it's going to regress a little bit. That's just the nature of going into like unexplored territory like this. It's unexplored, at least for me and the experience that I have. But that is the state of things. But fortunately, we did a lot of work on tools that will be able to help us in terms of debugging this. So yeah, things are looking a little regressive in terms of the features we've added, but we have the tools at our disposal to be able to debug this and reason about like what is going on. so we can get it working. And that's what we'll be working on for probably the next couple of months. So let me go ahead and take a minute to talk about the schedule. I've also just did a little bit of, I guess, decorating a little bit on the desktop. Got a new desktop background, something different than the flat gray, but, it is what, that's whatever. But so we're in April, and it was originally meant for doing like more collision detection and movement equations type stuff. And I've come to the realization that most of this is going to be not important to a positive player experience, and I'll explain why. So I think that would actually be best summarized by just going ahead and starting the game. So the player rig is, I've defined this in other videos before, but the rig is what I'm defining everything that's attached to like a player context. So you've got the player's model here. You've got whatever target that the camera's looking at. You have the camera itself that is going to be moving with the player. And there was also a little thing that I've added where you can change the game mode, and if you're in gameplay mode, we can use like the WASD keys to move the player around. So basically the rig is like everything that's moving on screen right now. So anything that's attached to player movement, that is all part of the player rig. Well, this is how the player is going to be interacting with the game. Like 90% of the player's experience is going to be through the eyes of this camera right here. And the player rig is it is more than an essential component. It is the most important component in this entire project, because that is the lens through which the player is going to be able to see and interact with this world that's going to be created. So getting this right is imperative. And so let's talk about a lot of things that we got going on here. So we have, I'm going to use a red pen just because, engineering, the almighty red pen was, what basically ruled my life during my freshman year. But, we have things like sound assets, lighting, ray tracing, physically based rendering, even like scene saving and loading. All of these things, while they're important, they're not necessarily going to be, contributing to a positive player experience. And maybe even, I'm drawing with the mouse here, but, animations. Yeah, I want the player's model to be moving at some point. But is it really necessary, for getting the rig up and running? And that's a horrible circle. But, thread pulling, work queues, again, that's another, like, big question mark here. But the rig, which is what we, I think, started working on either last month or February, is the most important part of this entire game. And it's imperative that it gets done right. And so that leaves us with, basically what's left. I'd really like to have, most of the player rig movement, like how it moves and rotates and how the camera moves around, in this June month right here. Hopefully at the end of June, maybe we can see where we are, but I really can't say for sure with because just my schedule is going to be very unstable for the next couple of months, and we're going to be settling down in a new city where we are going to be hopefully just getting into a new routine. So we'll just have to see where things are. So this is not a hiatus by any means. I'm going to be working on the Reclaimer as much as I can during my, in whatever time that I have available. But I can't say for certain if there's going to be enough updates to the game to warrant a video like this. Because I've outlined what I think is going to be the most important thing, and I think another video would be called for when the player rig is in a more acceptable state to present. It could be next month, it could be in 2 months, it could take the rest of this year, and I'm not sure when. I'll do my best to have other videos out as things are developed that would be worth watching. But if there's anyone watching, I want to be respectful of people's time and put out content that people actually want to see. In other news, I've been thinking a lot about the story of the game, which I don't want to give too much away because I actually want people to actually play the game in order to see the story. But I've been doing a lot of world building on the side, and I have been thinking about working on a graphic novel, sort of as a supplement to the Reclaimers, the actual game itself. Potentially something that after a sort of like a Kickstarter or crowdfunding thing to kick off the this graphic novel and hopefully potentially fund getting some professional artwork done for the game. I'm not saying it's going to be the only thing that's going to be needed, but it would be a good kickstart, and it would be something tangible to put in supporters' hands as a show of good faith that this is a project that is actively being worked on, and in thanking you for your support, here's a tangible thing that adds to the world building and allows people to more or less understand what the game is about and gives them something to look forward to. But Kickstarter campaigns are a dime a dozen nowadays, and one of my goals was to avoid just hype for hype's sake. That's something that is sort of oversaturated in the game industry as of today, and I want the whole point of this project is to go against the grain of mainstream games today, modern game development, and sort of go back to how things used to be, in terms of releasing something that was worth buying, worth playing, and worth playing repeatedly. And I've just been thinking about the world building a bit. In potentially this could be an additional supplemental project that I think people may enjoy, and but of course I can't guarantee any release dates as of yet. It's just mostly me brainstorming about things that can be done in the meantime, because developing a game is nothing to snuff at. It's a serious endeavor, but in order to at least allow people the chance to subscribe to something, to get the word out there, and if people want to support it, give them an opportunity to do so. And as I like to say, support is never expected, but it's always appreciated. And if there's ever a point where people want to do that, I want to give them a avenue to do that. And I think maybe a graphic novel supplement would be a good way to sort of kick off the official launch of this project. And there's just going to be a lot of catching up to do, but one thing at a time. I know this devlog has kind of been all over the place, but so while there may be updates far and few in between for the next couple of months, I'm still here. The project is still going strong, it's just going to have to throttle back a little bit while we're just settling down in a new home. So I appreciate each and every one of you who've been tuning into the project, and I can't thank you enough for people who've joined the live streams, who comment on videos, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel for continued updates when they come out. And I'm Sam, the Reclaimer developer, and I'll see you in the next video.